Going live now. Let me see if truly this thing is live. Let me confirm from here from my device.
Grace, how are you?
Okay.
I think you're now live because I saw a notification.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's live now.
Yeah.
that's it.
Okay, so we're live now. Okay, yeah. So I'm going to start. Hi everyone, you're welcome to my channel. So today I have a full house. Today's topic is going to be about mental health among Africans in Poland. So Aaron is going to be the chairman of this section. So I'm going to be leaving the floor for him. Yes,
Yeah,
and I won't call everyone's name here. So I'll let everyone to introduce themselves to the audience. So I'm going to start off, then afterwards Aaron, then Grace, Lizzo, because I'm going to call based on the how we arranged on the screen, how I'm seeing it on the screen right now. So afterwards, Lizzo, Tina, and Brooklyn. Hope I pronounced the name very well.
No, yes, that's
bro,
correct. Yes.
I think it
Okay,
was
Brooke. Okay, let me just call it Brooke.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So I'm going to be starting off. Hi everyone. My name is Julia Ezeji, as well known as Nurse Julia. I am a Nigerian nursing student here in Poland. So I'm going to be your host for today. Then I'll let my co-hosts as well as the chairman of this section to introduce himself. Mr.
hello.
Aaron, go ahead.
Yes. My name is Aaron Ochola. I stay and study in Lublin. Uh, as you saw before, I do physiotherapy, a master's in physiotherapy. I've been in Poland from the year 2017. Yes, well, I'm about to finish my course, and it's lovely to meet all of you, and I look forward to having a fruitful conversation. Yeah.
Okay, so Grace, please introduce yourself to the audience.
Okay. My name is Grace. I'm from Nigeria. I live in Poznan, Poland. I came to Poland in 2021, October, and I'm currently a student of University of Life Sciences, Poznan University of Life Sciences, and I'm doing a master program. I will be graduating in about 3 months' time. And well, another thing is I'm not a medical practitioner, so I'm not a nurse. Yeah, because I know everybody on this platform is a nurse, so I'm not a nurse. I'm a data analyst, senior meta analyst, and I work with London Stock Exchange Group. So, well, I hope we all have a wonderful discussion. I'm also hoping to learn new things from professionals and also, provide my inputs as a non-professional to the discussion. Thank you.
Grace, don't worry, you're not alone. You're not the only one who is not a nurse here. I'm also not a nurse, so that's
But
cool.
we are a medical practitioner. You are in the medicine line. So for me, it's all the same. So
Okay, okay.
Okay, Lizzo, please introduce yourself.
hi everyone. So I'm Liso. I'm from Zimbabwe. I'm currently studying in Poland, Lublin. I'm currently studying nursing. Yeah, and I think that's all.
All right. Few words. That's cool.
Okay, Tina, please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Tina. So nice to meet you all. I am currently studying at the Medical University of Dansk, and I've been in Poland for about 3 years. I think I came in 2021, and I actually wanted to chime in. Grace, you are not alone. I'm not a medical practitioner. I'm just a nursing student, so I'm not a nurse yet. We're all in this together. We're all in this together. But I currently work as a quality analyst, so kind of like wearing, different. I don't know how to put it, but yeah, I'm not a
Okay.
nurse yet.
But you'll soon be a nurse, whichever
Yeah.
is.
Grace, you are doing very well in your profession. So there's nothing special about us. Don't worry. In our next meeting, I'm going to get different students from different profession, like different departments, not just nothing. Okay. Next on our list is going to be Bro. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you. Hi everyone. It's a pleasure to meet you all. So my name is Brooklyn Nindi. I am from Zimbabwe and I am studying nursing at Vincent Paul University in Lublin. I've been in Poland for almost 3 years now, and I will be finishing my studies and graduating next year. So I look forward to a fruitful and educating conversation.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So based on the topic today is going to be mental health maintenance among Africans in Poland. So I have a lot to share here, but I will let Aaron to kickstart the section. Then in between, this is going to be more like a discussion section. So to all my viewers, I have like 8 or 9 people watching me now. Please, if you have your own contribution, you want to join this section, or you have something to comment, please drop it in the comment section. So if you have any questions for any of the speaker today, you can drop it in the comment section, and yeah, I'm going to read it out for everyone. So Mr. Aaron, over to you. So what do you have for us?
All right. First of all, me and Nurse Julia spoke the last time because this is this is a topic that, because of the different places we come from, um, is sort of underlooked. Like, we're all Africans here, and I don't know how it is in you guys' countries, but mental health is not the biggest focus, and tends to be swept under the rug. Now, how this all started is in 2020. I was in Kenya. I had gone to fix my visa and everything, and then that's when the lockdown happened, and the embassy was closed. Nothing was happening, and I ended up getting trapped in my head. I know I'm sure we're going to hear about all this. I tend to be an overthinker, and it just it kept eating at me, and I realized I was not getting better each day. I was just getting worse. It's like I was eating myself, basically. I was defeating myself. But eventually, after maybe 9 months, because I stayed in Africa for 9 whole months, I was missing school over here. When we were coming to the end, I was hearing from people here, the people who are here. Everyone was complaining, oh, these kids are coming here and they're messing up and they're doing this and they're doing that. And because I'm older, and in my head, it's easier to criticize them. But what are we as the older people doing to help them? You know, and then it kept ringing in my mind over and over again, and I decided to break it down from first principles. You see, the term charity begins at home. It is very applicable here, because these are children, the normal African family. Uh, at home, you're not supposed to do this, you're not supposed to do that, you're not supposed to do that, or else. Okay, and then you come here to a totally different place where you are free to do what you want. However, the stakes are much higher. If you mess up, then whether it's your first, second, third chance, it's done for you, you know. And that, just that part alone can cause someone to be living in angst or in anxiety, you know, and they end up making certain decisions. Okay. So when I was home, I thought and ruminated over this, and I was like, damn, there's so many things that you have to navigate as an African coming from Africa, coming to a place like Poland, which, by the way, was also new to Africans. It doesn't know, most people in Lublin, when I came here, were 99% white. I think in Lublin were about 10 black people, to be honest. We knew each other, all of us, you know, and no one knew or no one wanted you around, you know, so you're dealing with that. And then on top of that, you deal with the weather changes. Now, the weather changes, you know, there's a saying that goes, weather makes people, or the weather makes the way people act. And it's true. You know, in the winter, you are you are focused on, you just want to get to school, get to the bus, go home where it's warm. So imagine the people who have stayed there over time. You know, for you, you're used to a warm place where people can help you out, oh, this and this and this and this, and you feel at home. And if you bring that same attitude here, you get a culture shock. Okay. So to summarize this really, when I when I broke it down, I realized the fact that we have repressed a repressive way of looking at mental health at home affects us in such a way that even as older people, we're having trauma reactions to the way things are being done here. Now imagine a kid of 19 years old comes here from, you know, a place where it's so restrictive. The term who let the dogs out comes to mind, you know, and they'll go wild and they will live like there's no tomorrow and they'll live beyond their means, you know. So what I hope we discuss today is how we, and I'm not saying anyone is old here, you all look below 24, you know. Um, and like, how does the African child or the African teenager or young adult adapt adapt from the situation at home to the schooling here? Because even the school system is different. However, if you are not careful, you can get caught off guard and the stakes are higher. So that is what I hope we will break down systematically here today, probably in different points. I'm hoping maybe we can start with, okay, in terms of weather, how did the weather affect you? How, like there's a psychiatric condition called seasonal affecting disorder. You know, I'm sure you guys have heard of it. We'll talk about it a little bit more as we go further during this podcast. Yeah.
Okay. I want to comment on the seasonal is it seasonal disorder you called it? I remember there was a time we had a video, the last video we had, you said how you know when you are kind of like you feel like frustrated, anxiety. I think I felt it when I won't say I experienced it my first year of in Poland, because my first year in Poland, everyone is bubbling like you're happy, that finally you are in a new location and other stuff. But I know the anxiety I experienced was this separation anxiety I experienced then when that was, I think that was like 8 months after I have stayed in Poland. Because I'm just this kind of family oriented kind of person where I've never really been far from my family, even though my I tried to previously I studied somewhere is a state far from my where I was born, but at least I during holidays I go home every 4 months, 5 months. But I have never like been so far. I felt it like so much like I like my siblings with me, my brother, my sisters, like we talk, we share things. So being in a place where I'm this kind of person, like I won't say I'm introvert, I won't say I'm extrovert, but I'm just in between. Like I caught some part of this, caught some part of it. But I notice you made mention of eating disorder. I notice I do experience it during the winter. I never knew that that was actually something that I never knew that that was actually a mental health problem. I noticed during the winter, I kind of like feel like I'm so like anxious or something. Like I find myself, I'll eat, I'll cook, I can eat like 6 times in the day, but actually it doesn't really show on me. But the separation anxiety was one of the biggest challenge I had when I came to Poland. And how I was able to like curb that, how I was able to like combat that issue was I was having like every time I have this conversation with my family, and my daddy always call me to like talk to me. So my siblings, I'll, like we can talk like the whole day, but nevertheless, there's you can't really compare digital connection with your family to when you guys are like seeing like real life. So that is one of my biggest challenge, and I'm still battling with it. Yeah, so that's just one of my experience, and I will share more as we continue this session.
I think I can relate with the eating disorder for me. I think at first, what I experienced, because I had a stressful journey to Poland. It's That's another story for another day. So, and when I got here, I can't get a reasonable restaurant to eat, and I felt my brain was not working. I was just stressing, and well, I was like, no, I can't do this. On the third day, I just dragged someone. I didn't know the environment. I just dragged someone, please. I need to make some food I can relate with, not something that everybody. And sometimes I just look at people that, how can you eat this and it's food to you? And then after that, I think I managed to kill that for a particular period of time. But then again, the fact that I couldn't get those food I used to eat, so made me start living on junks, cereals, and the other things. And well, I put on some weight. There's nothing I could do to that. So that's really, really, really affected me also, in terms of foods. Then the weather was, I think I came in during winter and I was always sleeping. Yeah, I was just always sleeping. Someone called me one morning, was like, we don't sleep here. And I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. Like, it's morning already. We don't sleep. So it took me time, like for the first 3 months of my stay in Poland, I was just still trying to adjust to the weather, to the food, to the time, and every other thing. And just like Nurse Julia said, I also came from an environment where I don't stay far away from my family. And as a matter of fact, I had my undergraduate degree not in Nigeria, in Benin Republic, and Benin Republic is a neighboring country to Nigeria. So few times, like most times, I'm always in Nigeria. Like weekends, I'm always coming home. So that tells you that I'm not so far away from my family and from my loved ones. But this time it was different. I could not even Poland is not a place where you just decide one morning that I'm going back to my own country. It's take a lot of courage, a lot of money. That's very important before you can decide to say you are going back home. So I could not do that, for where I have spent like half of my life coming to a new environment. Whenever I sleep, I start dreaming of home. I dreamt of home over and over and over again. And you know, when in the spiritual aspect, there is always this thing that if you are dreaming of a particular place where you've left, it's a sign of backwardness and everything. So I started to I started to like, what is going on? What is going on? So I spoke with my husband. I said, see, I don't know why I'm seeing myself back home. What is the problem? My husband laughed. I was like, I'm saying something serious and you are laughing at me. I said I'm seeing myself. It was like it's normal. You've been in a place for half, like most of your life you spent. This is a new environment. Your brain is just reacting to the change, to the movement. So that and some other things I've experienced as a person, it's it's not easy when you first come into to a country. Much if it was like maybe an African country, maybe you can still adapt, but like another continent entirely is something different, honestly. It is.
Yeah, I can relate to what you said about dreaming back home. I have those dreams like almost every week, and African parents now when you tell them, my mother will be like, Holy Ghost fire, Holy Ghost. No, I remove backwardness. Any spirit of backwardness, I reject it. I'm like, what? Maybe I miss home. Actually, I was 2022 was tough for me. I won't say I was depressed, but I was mentally down. I If left to me, if I had the money, I would have gone home like every 3 months. Yes,
Yeah.
I would have. Just it's too expensive. That cost like about 8,500 euro to and fro.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much now, but if I can afford that, trust me, Easter I'm going to go home. Summer,
Mm-hmm.
I won't spend summer here. I'll spend summer home, but the money is just too much, so I can't afford that.
As for me,
Okay,
as for me, I
okay, go ahead.
okay. As for me, I can totally relate to what Grace said about food, but I'm going to first talk about like the way that like Aaron asked. For me, it was actually I was. I- Can I call it weather shock? Because I first experienced it like when I was connecting flights. When we're coming here from Africa, people will be like, "Wear your warmest clothes because it's going to be cold." And I came here around February, so they were like, "It's in winter. It's going to be cold." So I thought I was wearing like my warmest clothes. You understand? I thought like no, no coldness. I felt like I had no coldness, especially like against me will prosper against what I'm wearing.
Mm.
So when I was
Mm.
connecting in
Indeed.
Vienna, like when we were in the tunnel, I was shocked. I felt like I'm entering into a refrigerator, like the deep freezer. Because I was like, what? Is this the type of coldness that I'm going to be living in? Because I wasn't expecting it to be like that. And where I stay, like in Zimbabwe, I stay like in the hottest area. Like I stay in the
Mm.
hottest area in Zimbabwe. So I was like, is this going to be my life? For me, that was the worst. And everything that I was trying to put on when I got here, like even if even if I put on like two tights or more, I just felt cold. And it's time like passed, I started adjusting and then trying to find food that I can eat now. It was just a problem. I didn't know when I was coming in that I had to carry like spices so that I can maybe relate to the food more this side. I didn't bring that. So when I got here, I tried McDonald's. McDonald's wasn't McDonald's. I even tried KFC. KFC wasn't KFC. It was just, I even tried beggars. The beggars were not beggars. Everything was just, I don't know. And also I had like very high expectations when I was coming here. Like I thought like I'm going to the, you understand, like I thought it's going to be totally different. Like even the rooms that I'm going to be staying in, I had very high expectations. So when I got here, when I even got to the room, I like no, like it's just like my spirit was just low, and I don't. And also I thought like probably find like a proper church to go to. I go to Forward in Faith, that's my church, and I was born and raised in church. So it does something to me to be able to go to church like every Sunday, like those services that you get to go in person. Like it uplifts my spirit, especially like if I do it every Sunday. So I was hoping to find like my maybe if I don't find my church, I'll probably find something like my niche that I go to every Sunday. But then I couldn't find that again, and it was just, I don't know. But missing people from home, I can't say I really miss them that much. I'm only starting to feel like I miss them right now in 2023. I came in 2021 because the whole time I was like in Zimbabwe, I was a border. Like I didn't really stay with my parents for a very long time. There was like I used to be away from them like for the longest time. So when I came here, that was very easy for me because I would talk to them on the phone. So not really like I felt like I miss home that much. But for me, it's just those little things. I couldn't find like the church to go to. I couldn't even find like the food also. I'm actually starting to adjust with the food now because the whole of last time food wasn't fooding for me. It wasn't. I'm actually starting to adjust now, and also now we know places to go buy spices, to make it like more African and whatnot. Yeah, and I think that's that for me. We'll talk more as we go by.
Okay, Broccoli. You have any experience you want to share with us?
Yeah, for me, well, I never really had much of an issue with the weather. Honestly, it didn't affect me that much. But I would say the major shift for me was in trying to adjust to new people because I don't know, are we specifically supposed to talk about the weather or just our experience in general? Because,
Well,
General, everything that. Okay, go ahead,
okay,
Aaron. Go ahead.
yes, in general, but in this case, we were talking about the weather, but in general, because I'm going to try to relate everything to routine. Like, for example, people talk about sorry, I might get your name wrong. Liesel, Lissel. Yeah, Lissel talked about a routine she was used to being growing up in church, but coming here and it
mm-hmm.
was tough to find something. So any routine that you had that maybe was interrupted and caused a shift in the way you think about things, that can work.
Okay. Yeah, I would like to just make it short and say that the weather didn't affect me that much. In fact, it didn't affect me at all. Probably because I have quite a number of relatives who are abroad. So when I was still back in Africa, they just prepared me mentally for the changes that I would go through. So I came here expecting or expectant of all these things like the food, the weather, and everything. But for me, the major change was just adjusting to new people, trying to get to know new people, um, trusting people in general. So yeah, that's what I would say was the major shift for me. And in terms of food as well, the food was not much of an issue, but I would say I just came to points where I would compare it with African food, the food that we would have back at home. Like it just wasn't authentic as the food I would have back at home. So I would just make do. I would just adjust as much as I could so that I would fill in that space that was filled before with the food from back home. So yeah, I would say that's mostly it.
Okay, so I personally, for me, I can relate with like literally everything that everyone has said so far. For me, the first shock moving to Poland was the cold, because like no amount of explanation from anyone prepared me for that. Like they would tell me it's really really cold. It can get as cold as 30 degrees. I'm like, okay, cold. We have like cold weather sometimes, like Amatan in Nigeria. So I was thinking, okay, maybe it could get like really cold, that like way colder than that, and that's fine. But it never really prepared me. So coming to Poland, the first shock was at the at Turkey, like where we wanted to transfer. I thought that was even really really cold until I got into Poland itself. So like everything I brought from Poland, nothing could protect me. Just like Liso had said, nothing protected me from the cold. It was so shocking. I think like the second day I started to see like blood in my nostril, and I was so scared. Like, what is this? I started calling people, like telling they're like, it's okay, you just came, it's normal, the weather and everything and stuff like that. But for the food, I did not really have that much of a problem because I came with a lot of food stuff. So I was able to adjust before my food stuff could finish. So it kind of lasted me for like 6 months or thereabout. So I was able to adjust. I was cooking my stuff, and I did not necessarily buy things from the store to cook apart from like rice and stuff like that. And that was another thing. It was different. Their rice was sort of different. It took a while to find what I could eat. I would cook rice and it would look like eba, like fufu, stuff like that. So honestly, it was another problem I had. So I kept trying different kind of rice, different kind of before I found what exactly looked similar to what we had back home. And yeah, I think that was it. Another thing that was really really challenging that really affected my mental health was the job. I came at the peak of COVID. So like I in my head I was already like, immediately I get to Poland, I'm going to start a job, I'm going to save for this, da 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 da. Oh my god, it was a shocker when I came, and I was even going to Pole. So that city is very, very small. Nothing is going on. It was a shocker when I came. I had stayed at home for like, what is 3 months? No job, nothing. I was like, I think I'm going to die. What is going on? Honestly, because I had already prepared myself when I was coming. Like, once I get there, I'll get a job. They're going to pay me like, okay, probably I'll be saving this amount of money. Within 3 months, I'll have this amount of money. It was a shocker. Like, I did not expect that I would come and not have a job. Nah.
Yeah, yeah. So I see with everyone. First of all, thank you for your stories. They're so super interesting, and I know we are just at the surface. Now we talk about food. First of all, food. Let me talk to Tina. I know back home we have something called pilau rice. None of you is from East Africa. I don't know if you guys have pilau or anything, but you fry the tomato, the onions first, and then you do the rice. You take it through all that to put 2 cups of water for 1 cup of rice, and then you simmer it. But if you do that with the rice from here, you are going to have, as you said, fufu, or something that looks like pudding. You know, but what each of you have described, and what I realized, because I took a whole year before I got a job. Yes, and the first job that I got was working in a factory. Okay, um, but what you guys described, what all of you have described, I will start with like the weather thing. Okay, the way the body is designed, it's designed to have what they call homeostasis. It's designed to be balanced, basically. Okay, so there are different chemicals in the body that help to balance the things out. Things like hormones, enzymes, and all that jazz. Okay, now in the case of the first thing we talked about, seasonal affecting disorder, you go from the highs of the summer, where the days are longer and the nights are shorter. You have more light, less darkness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you go to the autumn, where it starts to reduce. And like, oh my God, winter is coming, winter is coming. But there's still some sunlight that is just there to torture you just a little bit. That it's not summer, but it's not quite winter yet. And then comes winter, where the nights shorten. Sometimes, the nights lengthen. Sometimes the nights, it gets dark at 5, at 4
At
p.m.
3 p.m.
Exactly. And your body has what they call a circadian rhythm. It knows when you're supposed to sleep, when you're supposed to eat, when you're supposed to do this and this and this. But that's also based on how much light is out there. Okay. Because like usually, in order for you to sleep, you have to dim the lights, or that's not by accident. because there's a hormone in the body called melatonin. It's a sleep hormone. And during the times of the winter, let me say, your hormone level has been used to, okay, I have about 12 hours of sunlight, and then immediately it goes to 7 hours. The body has to readjust, and it doesn't just adjust like that. So your brain is shocked, it's shocked, and it has to balance things out. So it ends up compensating in one way or another. It will end up compensating the fact that you're supposed to be asleep, but you're not ready to be asleep, by making you depressed. Okay? Or let's say you're supposed to be asleep and you're not asleep, and it activates you, and it ends up making you destroy your rhythm, not get enough rest, and when you don't get enough rest, we all know we are all cranky when we don't sleep enough, and your brain is not recovering. And it also brings me to one of the things that I think, oh God, help me with this name, Lissel. I think I keep getting it wrong. The thing of routine. The body needs routine. The brain needs routine. If you're used to every Sunday, I'm going to go here and I'm going to pray to something that is bigger than me, that lets me know that I'm not the biggest thing on earth. I'm just part of a system. That helps you act in a certain way. It helps you act in a certain way. And if you've been doing that for 20 years, and then that is suddenly taken away, you're going to need mechanisms to compensate for the lack of that. And many times, maybe us, for example, I was an undergraduate back home. I had some experience with uni. I think we all had a little bit of experience here and there. But now a kid comes here. They're not able to balance that. My body needs a routine, And like I said, the stakes in Europe are higher. You better get your things right so that when opportunity comes, you're ready to take it quick, quick, quick. No one cares whether you are mentally ready or mentally unready. You need to have things, mechanisms of your own to get your body balanced, to get your melatonin balanced, to get, things like that. So even for people, I see all of us clearly here believe in God. I don't mean to assume, but even for people who don't, the thing that belief in God helps, or belief in a bigger being than you, it helps you be less egotistical. And when you're less egotistical, you're more empathetic. You put yourself in other people's shoes. And when you're more empathetic, you are able to relate with others. And when you're able to relate with others, people generally like to be around you. So everything is connected. Everything is connected. And you find that if the good things are connected, even the bad things are connected. Now, for example, with Madame Lissel, imagine you didn't have church that you used to, and you did not have a mechanism to cope without the church, or without the church the way it was, the way you were used to. Then you start to feel something missing, you get depressed, and then you look for something to fill up the need for dopamine. Now, that's another thing I want to go to. Miss Nurse Julia talked about eating, right? Now, there's another, sorry if I'm saying too many hormones, Grace, sorry. There's another, I think it's a neurotransmitter called dopamine. It's the feel-good hormone. Whenever you eat a nice, like for me, ugali, which is milli meal, you know, and beans and maybe some nice meat and greens on the side. That good feeling you feel, that's dopamine being released into your bloodstream and brain, you know. And that feeling is something that people will constantly chase, you know. Unfortunately, that's the trap, because they're going to chase that dopamine feeling instead of chasing things that can be longer lasting, because the dopamine will make you happy for what, 10 minutes, and like, oh, okay, it's done. So now, do you need to eat more to get that dopamine rush, or do you need to find something else to do that can help you get the dopamine but can also help you become better, you know? And I think now that's where we're now going to go, you know, because all these things are tools, you know. Food, dare I say, alcohol, drugs, whatever, these are all tools. It's like fire. You can use fire to burn a house down, or you can use it to cook a nice jollof for yourself. Eh? You can, it just depends on how you use it, you know, on how you use it. And well, the challenge here is finding a way to channel these things, to channel either adversity, like I tend to talk about. I tend to talk about adversity making you stronger. Adversity will always be there. It happens to everyone, but you just have to find a way to make it work for you. You turn the lightning into electricity. And I want to ask you guys, because it seems like you've sort of gotten out of it or are still getting out of it successfully. How did you adapt? What tools, what mechanisms did you use to adapt to help yourself stay sane? Of course, sometimes it's overwhelming, but as you guys, kindly tell me what mechanisms you use. In my case, I I do exercise. I like to meditate, quiet time, and pray sometimes. You know, I like to read. You know, generally things that, yes, help you escape, but they're not becoming a crutch and making you think that the situation is actually not as it is. So how did you guys cope?
Okay, I'll start with myself. Wow, how I was able to cope was like I said, I have this separation anxiety. I had it then. This separation anxiety is actually common among younger folks, like children, but I don't know why I was experiencing it then. Maybe because I was so attached to my family. So how I was able to cope was I always keep on the communication. I am always on call with them, even though it never like solved the problem, but at least it was able to like help me manage, help me like feel, will I say this illusion kind of feeling like as if though they are still with me. And also I try to like get into there was a time I was so much on TikTok, like watching these pranks, watching these funny pranks and all those stuff. But I got to a point I noticed it was actually taking my time, so I have to close down my TikTok. And yeah, and when I closed down my TikTok, I wasn't watching those pranks, those funny stuff, and I noticed this thought, this feeling start coming in, start creeping in gradually, and I found that I'm not really the kind of like the party kind of person. I won't say going to party is not good. Maybe probably I really don't have the circle of people that I can really like feel so 100% open to go out to party with. Maybe that is why, or maybe probably I don't have the circle of my. I really don't know how to put it, but I would love to go to. I've never gone to a club in Europe since I came to Europe. Actually, I've not gone. I'm not saying going to club is bad, but I really don't see it like it's going to solve my problem. It's not really going to solve it. So I really needed a lasting solution, even not like 100%, but at least should be able to like curb it like to like 60%, which I try to communicate with my parents all the time. I try to check this educational media like that of some YouTube. I try to check some YouTubers that are into like histories, life histories of Africa. So I like to watch those things. I try to like connect to more educative platform. This time, not just all about pranks, because I know pranks was like all those funny mimic kind of platform were trying to like derail my concentration from my studies. So I went into more of educative kind of stuff and talking more with my family. Like a day, I cannot go a day without talking to at least two or three member of my family, my father, my siblings. So I think that really helped to some extent, not really like 100%, but it's really really helping me. And I hope next winter I don't get to eat too much, like because I experienced it like two episodes, like two sections, and two winter, the first winter and the least this winter that we just like that is just passing now. So I yeah, that's basically how I was able to manage it.
Oh well, for me, in terms of the food, I I think I just managed to, adjust to whatever it that is being sold in the African market. As a matter of fact, I think Poznan has one African market there, so we don't even have a choice. Whatever that is being sold there is what we will buy and what we will eat. So, yeah, I had someone this afternoon complaining about the palm oil. It is not palm oiling. It is different. It is, and the person was like, even the crayfish, it'd be like grass. That was his exact words. The crayfish, it'd be like grass. And I was like, I can imagine. But you see, I have programmed myself to adjust that. Okay, let me get used to this thing. Then in terms of separation from families and loved ones, like Nurse Julia said, I also always call my parents and my siblings. My mom, she's very, very emotional, and sometimes she'll be like, I miss you, and all those stuff. And that, thank God, my mom even mentions it, that thank God for this video call. How would it have looked like? This
Mm-hmm,
WhatsApp video, I'm seeing you. For the fact that she's seeing me, she's happy that she's seeing
mm-hmm,
me. So that's also helped. Then I remembered that the period when we just came, before most of us started working, one thing we do, aside from, I know a lot of people watched movie, Netflix and the likes, but after a while people get bored that, what do you people even do here? Like, I just feel like I'm going crazy. I'm the only one here. I don't even know what to do with my life. I don't know what to do with myself. So me and a couple of my other ladies, what we do is we go for shopping. Most times we just take ourselves out. We just say, well, we just be like, okay, who is there is one store is doing promo. I have this special friend. She's always particular about those promo stores. She said, one store is doing promo. Whoa, let's go and buy something. Let's go, let's go, let's go. And sometimes we don't even have the money to buy whatever. We just go there, feed our eyes. We just go there, try on some clothes, look at ourselves. We feel okay. Maybe at the end of the day, we just buy an item and we leave the store. Like, more like there was this need to, pass away time. Then sometimes we look forward to when some of us will be having birthdays to celebrate, then we ginger the person, say, see, do small party, just try and do party, so that we can call people, let people come around, let's go. The person might be like, see, I don't have the strength for cooking. Say, don't worry, we'll cook for you. Just call a party, just call it, because I live in Lagos, Nigeria, where every weekend somebody is always doing party. This Yoruba party kind of thing. Like one street in one environment in one locality is doing party. Like, that vibes. We don't get our vibes here. Even some of us that brought some of our African clothes, our Nigerian native, nowhere to wear it to. There is nothing. So we want to have this feeling, this. So sometimes we just do all these things to to make ourselves happy. And I think these measures actually lasted till the time most of us started working. Nowadays, now everyone is working, and there is little time to spare with our education. We are trying to combine studies and work. And so when the only time left that we have is whenever the school is not on section. And you see, those times people already made plans to travel. Like people are just moving from one place to another. We have this Schengen visa. So we have our TLC ready, we can just go to another Schengen countries. And we just plan trips, little trips. Well, for me, I think I started traveling like 1 month after my arrival in Poland. Well, I started traveling then. So the traveling wasn't really a big deal to me, but to some of my other friends and colleagues around me, they started traveling when schools were on section, and they just take like 2 days break from work to travel. And those were just little measures. It really doesn't solve the issue per se, but it makes people feel happy. And it makes them feel checked, like they feel like themselves, different from what the shock they received when coming into Poland. So
So, Grace, can I ask you?
yeah.
That thank you for that. You said these things make you happy, and one would argue that even as Nurse Julia said, eating makes you happy, but and shopping can also make you happy. But how do you prevent yourself? What are the measures you take from uh, what are the measures you take in order for you to make sure shopping does not become a distraction from real life, or from having to do certain things, like to a point where it becomes a distraction, like to a point where it becomes a habit, to a point where it becomes a crutch. How did you maintain that?
Oh well, I think it's the pockets that will tell. When your bank account is telling you that you don't have money to do any shopping, or or the moment you receive a little income, you just managed to get a little income, and you realize that just a little outing, half of that income is gone. And you know that before you can get that kind of income again, it's going to take you a lot of work or a lot of stress. So you put yourself in check. Like, okay, so this week I decided that, well, there's this particular Chinese store. We just go to check things close to where I stay. And in fact, as a matter of fact, it has been almost 6 months since I visited that store. Meanwhile, when I just came in, then I remember very, very well. It's just about one stop from where I'm living. I always go to that Chinese store because this European store, sometimes some things, some little things we want to buy in these European stores, they don't have it there. So we just go to Chinese stores too. So I remember that my first period of getting to Poland, I always visit that Chinese store, even if I'm not buying anything. Sometimes I went to that store, I will not pick one item, but I will just move around, try feed my eyes, try the shoes, try the clothes, and be like, oh, okay, okay, I'm not buying, I'm not buying. I just live there. And for the past almost 6 months, I looked at myself, I said, wait a minute, it's been like 6 months. Like, I've not visited that Chinese store. I was like, no, 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 no. I think, and that was because I looked at my finance. I said no. I don't think I can really afford to be spending. I had a lot of things to do. Like, I had a lot of responsibilities. The prices of living in Poland increased. Like, it increased by over 70%. In fact, when we joined, when we came in 2021, with 100 or 200 zloty, you can buy, good food stuff, and everywhere is filled up your hand. You're carrying two bags. But right now, the prices of food stuff, they are quite high due to the crisis, the war and everything happening in Europe. So,
Yeah.
and I had to reduce my, in fact, if I do not have any reasonable thing to do, I don't need it. I'll look at it. Do I really need this thing? I don't need it. No, I'm not going out. Even if someone calls me today and said, come, let's go there. Me, myself, I will follow you. Oh. But if you like, pressure me, I will not buy anything because I'd
Mm.
already put it in my head that you have other important and pressing issues you need money for. You don't need to spend on this particular thing. So last week I just be like, okay, it's been a while. Let me visit. And that was the first time I'll be visiting in 6 months. And there are some other places too, unlike the Chinese store that I know at the last time I visited was maybe 3 months or 4 months ago. So sometimes, that was a measure, as at
All
that.
right.
But the moment you start having bigger plans, the truth is Africans, unlike that is one thing that differentiates us from other, continents. Africans always want more. Like, you can't keep an African man in a place or a woman in a place and you expect them to be satisfied with where they are. They always tend to want more. So, and I discovered that, okay, I think my priorities changed, within a matter of 1 year. My priorities changed. And I said, okay, I think I'm going to focus more on other things. Those other things I, adopted as a measure because really in Nigeria, shopping in Nigeria is stressful. I
Yeah.
know Julia can relate with me. When you go to a co-market, the kind of you, in the hot sun, the stress. So it is not something you want to do. But in
There's
Europe,
some, sorry to cut you off.
yeah.
There's something you say that really got me, and I don't want us to continue before we talk about it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pose the question, and you think
Okay.
about the answer as someone else talks. You talked about priorities.
Okay.
Kindly tell me, of course, after Brooke, um, you kindly tell me how, because the way you're talking about this, it came as second nature, but I'm sure it was not always like this. And let's say for a kid who has, or someone, not even a kid, let me stop saying kid, someone who has not really structured their thinking process or principles to the way you structured yours, where priorities come as second nature, good priorities come as second nature to you. How would you advise someone to do that? So please think about that. As Brooke, can you please tell us your side of things?
Uh, okay. So I could say so much about how I cope with trying to be sane, but I'm just going to highlight like the main things I did to get to a safe space, because I don't think any process has like a destination. I think it's just a continuous journey where you keep finding yourself, rediscovering everything, and shaping yourself. So for me, I cannot say I'm completely there. I'm still in the process. I'm still in the making. But yeah, the most important thing for me was finding God, because there are so many things that I'm doing now that if I compare to back then, I'm doing it better than what I would do back then. So for me, that was the most important thing, because every time I tried to take charge, every time I tried to take lead on my own, I failed, or I performed so dismally to a point where I would embarrass myself or humiliate myself in front of people. So I then just decided to let God take lead and to take charge of everything that I'm doing. And that has been so helpful for me.
Okay, okay. So that's a very good point. That's a
Yeah.
very, very good point. Now imagine you are talking to someone who you are trying to, let's say, minister to, and the person is grounded in scientific proof of this,
Right.
that, this. Um, how do you tell them? Because for some people, if you say let go and let God,
Mm-hmm.
they they see it as you absconding from all responsibility or accountability of what you are supposed to do. And how, um, in what way did, for example, you doing things quote unquote on your own, um, okay, we don't have to have details, of course, we
Mm-hmm.
don't have to go too much into that, but um, what what exactly, how do you balance maintaining accountability to yourself as an
Mm-hmm.
adult and maintaining accountability to God, while, because for me, as I said earlier,
Mm-hmm.
the reason why God is important,
Mm-hmm.
or believing in something bigger than yourself, is because the way our brains are wired is, if once you do not have accountability to something bigger than yourself, you're like a child without a parent, you know, like a child without a parent who's gone to a candy store.
Mm-hmm.
So even if this child thinks they're as mature as they can be, they will still give in to childish tendencies. And I think that's what we call the sinful nature. So how, I don't know, am I making the question too convoluted, or you get what I mean?
Yeah, I'm trying to grasp everything piece by piece. So
Mm.
I don't know where you done so that I could answer section by section. Okay, so you were there's something you mentioned about convincing someone who is grounded in scientific facts, and it's true. For me, conviction is something that is personal. I do not have to butt heads with the person to convince them that this worked or this didn't. I just live by the idea of being living proof. So the moment I ground myself in the word of God, and like I said, letting God take lead, my life on its own will be an example to that person. So let's say when I'm in a situation that is scary, back then I would react, let's say, by screaming or, being delusional. But now that I've grounded myself in God, I am more calm and I'm more collected when it comes to situations that can cause panic or hysteria. So that in itself can be enough proof for a person who's grounded in scientific facts, because that is one thing I've always asked myself, that okay, let's say I'm in a situation where I'm dealing with someone who's a non-believer. How do I prove to them that God works in my life? And I said, okay, I will just be living proof. My life will be living proof that God is the best way in anything. So that is one thing. And in terms of taking accountability, well, I've always wanted and I've always been that person who takes accountability, especially for things that I know. Even when it comes to being told that I've wronged or I've done something the wrong way, I definitely am not shy to take accountability and, you know, be upfront with myself and accept that this happened the wrong way and this happened, or this happened in an unacceptable way. So the fact that now I have God complementing my life, it makes it even better because it humbles me and it puts me in a position where I'm able to accept correction.
Oh,
And
that's thank you so
yeah,
much. Oh my God,
I'm
yes, yes,
able to accept correction and I'm able to relate, because if there's one thing that I continuously pray for is empathy,
yeah,
because we all have mental problems to some extent, to some degree, but they just vary on the spectrum. Some people's mental disorders or mental problems are on the low end of the spectrum, some fall on the high end of the spectrum. So for me, I've always wanted that empathy to understand and to relate to another person's problems. And like I said, with God being the foundation of my life, it helps me to be humble and
yeah.
to relate to that person, not on just a physical level, but on a spiritual level. So for me, like I said,
Yeah.
in everything that comes after, it's always going to be complemented, and the foundation is always going to be God.
Wow, wow. That is very powerful.
Yeah.
That is very powerful. And sorry, the reason I just keep cutting off because I don't want to lose certain trains of thought. There's so
Mm,
many very nice little nuggets that you threw in there. There's one of the things that is one of the dogmas in Alcoholics Anonymous or any of these addict seminars
mm,
where they or the program where they try to say, oh, I might missay it, but basically the gist of it is help me not to fuss over things I have no control over. Okay.
mm,
Now, as the same way I gave Grace something to think about, I'm going to give you something to think about as well, right?
mm,
Because we are going to try to flawlessly get into anxiety, you
mm,
know, and clinically, the definition of anxiety, or at least from what I remember, is the fear of the unknown.
mm,
Okay, and now for you, like with Grace, it's second nature to Grace to keep certain priorities.
mm,
For you, because you've given your life to God and you've let Him take control while being accountable to you and Him, you know, how would you how would you say that has helped with your anxiety, or that has helped with you not wanting to control things, or not fussing over things you can't control? So
right.
could you please think about that as we got to help me say it right, Listen.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Hi, Listen.
Hi.
Mm.
You can hear me well, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. For me, we were talking about how I had to cope with what I was facing when I got here, right? So for me, let me just start by breaking it down. I said it was weather, it was food, and also something that I didn't say was also making friends, adjusting to meeting new people, trusting new people, and also, oh yeah, I think that's it. So for me, how I tried to cope with it was I actually saw like it's very hard for me to make friends because I just got here, and it would be insane for me to think I would actually like make friends because the I don't know how I can put it, but we normally think like if I meet someone from Africa when you are in like Europe, the person should automatically become your family. You understand? Like this is my circle. So I didn't want to do that. I tried to do that, and I saw like it's not working for my mental health because we kind of like bought from different backgrounds and we believe in different things. And I actually, it was I was it, actually it made me more conscious about who I bring into my space, if I may say it like that. So the whole of last year 2022, I actually decided, okay, I think I should put brakes on making friends and actually like be more comfortable with my own self, like be by myself, actually be my own friend, and actually create a safe space for me. So how I coped with not making friends was I actually had to create like a safe space for myself. That is by making my room a safe space. You understand? So that I don't have to go out there and seek like
Wow.
other people. Like everything I need is in my own space. I had to make it like my own, the place that I'm comfortable spending even a week in with no one else but by myself. That's what I started doing. Started like decorating my room, finding pieces and putting in my room, something like that, and kind of like delete the mindset the mindset that I'm passing by. I'm probably going to another country, so I just need to stay like, you know how it is like you're like
Yeah,
home away from home, kind of like that. I
yeah,
had to delete
yeah.
that whole thing and actually like make my space a home. That's what I did.
Ho- Hold on,
And
listen. You've made two very important points. I'm sorry to cut you off again.
okay.
So the first thing you said is learn how to be your own friend. That's a
Mm-hmm.
very, very good point because I feel like many of the things that we do that end up leading to mental health issues involve trying to distract our minds from distract ourselves from being
Yeah,
alone with our
yeah,
minds,
yeah,
you know.
yeah, yeah.
and
Trying
uh,
to
and
escape
that's why
yourself.
you see exactly, and that's why you see in let's say, I don't want to use the word religion, but let me say spirituality. Spirituality involves you meditating. Now, like for example, Christianity, meditate daily and meditate on the word of God, you know, meditate on some where you are saying, okay, inner little, this is me, outer little, I'm here, and let's have this talk,
Mm-hmm,
you
mm-hmm,
and I, you know, brutally honest. Now, I want to ask you, um, as you are, you know, on this journey of, you know, trying to be alone with your thoughts, you
okay.
know, and trying to, you know, to do your thing really. There are things that I refer to or I've heard being referred to as mind viruses. Okay.
Okay.
Imagine your mind is like a computer. Uh,
Yeah.
how what are some of the mechanism, because no matter how good you are at being alone with yourself, us as humans, we are social animals. You know, we are social animals and we always want a tribe. As you said, you're hoping that, you know, maybe hopefully, you know, I can let someone in, but then you realize that, you know, sometimes people are on their own journeys. So how do you, as Leso, how do you regulate and how do you deal with those mind viruses that keep telling you that who do you think you are to be this person? Why do you feel like you need to be away from other people? How do you deal with such mind viruses?
Can you hear me well? My network was kind of disturbed.
Yeah, I can. I can.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. 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 So for me, trying to answer what you said and then like finish off on how I coped. For me, like what you said, like about mind viruses, like I said, the whole of last year, I tried to be my own friend and I tried to get to know myself and I tried to not escape myself and I tried to make a safe space for myself. But like you were talking about, like mind viruses, like your greatest enemy sometimes can be your mind. You create scenarios, you start worrying about things that are not there. That's why I think it's very important to spend time by by yourself, because you also learn how to control your mind from being wild. Because I also, like, last year I also had that problem. Sometimes I would find myself like worrying about creating scenarios that are not even going to happen, but I, they're just there in my head. Understand? Yes, I'm escaping people, but also now I'm alone, but my mind is actually like worry, like creating problems for me that are not there. You understand? So how I tried to escape like the mind viruses, like what you referred to them as. I started like, I told myself I have to make like, I can't say a routine, but I had to find things that I can look forward to so that I don't overthink over like useless scenarios or whatever. So I could even look forward to seeing like a series next Friday. And I'll be so excited about it. I'll be excited about like trying a new cologne or perfume. I would so excited about like trying new clothes alone. I would be so excited about like cooking a meal in the night. I would be so excited about trying a new like facial routine. I just had to look for, you know how it is sometimes we need big wins sometimes for our mind to be at ease. You understand? We need big wins like promotion, like a job and whatnot. So I told myself I don't need to focus on like big wins as yet. I can like try and look forward to small wins. Like I woke up at 6 today and I prayed in the morning. That's fine. So today I won. Like I woke up in the morning and I made my bed. I look forward to that. Like, okay, before I sleep, I'm going to do a bedtime routine and wash my face. So I look forward to that before going to bed. So that way I find myself not thinking more about like what's going to happen, or I start thinking about like the position that I'm in now. So I was gladly able to do that last year. But the only problem was, so I was like, as I like finished on how I coped, the only problem was I started like, it's addictive to be by yourself. There's an addiction that you get from it. So I actually started seeing as the year was about to end that I'm actually addicted to being by myself. Because every time I'm with new people or I meet people or whatever, I was kind of like, I don't know. It made me more conscious about my energy, and when bad energy comes in, it made me more conscious about the energy that I bring to people. And when someone is trying, I kind of like sense your energy because I know my
Yeah,
energy. So when something
yeah.
is off, I'm kind of like, this is because of you. So I don't know. I was very reactive in a way, I must say.
You created a
I was,
comfort zone for yourself.
yes, yes.
Mm.
Even I can safely say even dating. It's just
Mm.
even letting someone enter into my room, I may say, even letting someone enter into my room, I'm very conscious because I know I've done the work, I've been by myself, I know what I bring to the table, and I know the energy that I carry around. So whenever something is off for me, it's just let me. But also that's very bad. I only got to understand it as I was about to get into this year, that I now don't have any friend, and I'm not available for any chit chats. Some and I can safely say as I was also like getting to know myself,
Mm.
as I was getting to know my, okay, sorry about that. As I was like getting to know myself, I can safely say that I kind of like I was kind of like aware of why the reason why I was doing it, but I was kind of like, I got carried away, if I may put it that way. I got carried away
Okay.
because I
Okay.
wasn't even tolerating like small chats on WhatsApp, hi, hey, blah blah. Because
Oh,
to some extent, I feel
that's.
like it's
Mm.
it's not useful conversation. I was only engaging because I thought I was lonely, but at the end of the day, I'm not
Yeah.
really lonely because I have myself. Understand?
Yes.
So in
Yes.
2022, I actually cleared like nonsense talks on WhatsApp and whatever. But as the year ended, I actually saw, you know what? At the end of the day, I'm just left with my family and maybe just two friends. That's all I
Mm.
have. I don't have anyone else. Like, I don't have a circle. I don't have. So after cleaning that up and actually getting to know myself, I'm actually trying to, okay, let me be social. Let me have friends. I cannot say I'm an extroverted person to say.
Yeah.
I'm an introverted extrovert. I don't know if you understand.
You're
Like,
an ambivert. They call those people ambiverts.
I was
You
about to
are
ask the same thing.
you are both.
Ambivert.
Yes,
Yeah.
and now for you, your small homework, or sort of like the small homeworks have been giving everyone. I hope you remember you guys' questions. Okay, so for you, I want to ask, because it's clearly not going to be as easy to reintegrate yourself properly, but no, just because
Can
it's
I
not
can I
easy.
just say something? Sorry, can I
Okay,
just say something?
okay.
What, because we're talking about mental health, I wanted to
Mm,
say, like you said, it's not going to be easy. And let me just
mm,
fast forward it to 2023. Like I said, I'm not
okay.
an extroverted person, but also I'm not introvert to some
Yeah,
extent. So
yeah.
the problem now is I wasn't like that all this time. I'm actually seeing now that this is actually like a mental problem that needs to be
Mm,
solved. Because
mm.
now when I go out and I try to make friends and we talk, when I come back, like, as soon as I enter the door, I'm like, "Whew, I don't know. I don't have the energy. I'm just drained." And I start, it's called ruminating about what had
Yeah,
happened.
ruminating. Yeah,
I
yeah,
start like,
yeah,
I have like post-social anxiety. I start
yes.
ruminating. I can even spend like up to 3 days just thinking, I shouldn't have said that. Why did I say that? Oh my god, I
Mm,
overshared. Oh blah, blah, blah. Like, why, okay, where
okay.
did I even go? Something
I
like
think
that. And I'm actually seeing it's a very big problem. And to solve it, to actually cope with it, actually so that I have to try and put myself into more social situations so that I can learn to deal with those kind of things. But I don't know, maybe I'll find a way around it.
I think you are more of the introverted kind of person, but you're trying to come out of your shell. You're trying to like do what you are not used to, but it's not really working out for you. That is the way I see it. So
Mm,
that is just the way I see it, Lizzo. You are more of the introvert, but
yeah,
you are trying
Can
to
I?
like, okay, you're in new environment, let you see, let the vibes with maybe trying to flow with the moment, flowing with like, okay, others, let me not look like I'm left out, or I really don't know how to put
Well,
it,
I
but
was
I
going
think
to
that is
say,
my
I'm so sorry to cut short, but this is very interesting. Honestly, Lisa's situation is her story is very, very interesting. I was going to say, if she has not always been like that, because I dropped at the comment section that that's dangerous. And when she said she got so used to herself, she didn't want to chat, like she didn't want to see like unnecessary chats that weren't, useful. I thought that is dangerous. It's okay to, be like love yourself, enjoy your space, because at the end of the day people can switch up on you. The only person that you can trust is you, right? But then when you get to that point where you do not even want to associate, then that becomes dangerous. And I think that she most likely, I don't know if she has not always been like that, it would most likely be coming from somewhere. Something must have influenced that. So if she can trace back to when it started, like what influenced that would probably help with dealing with that, because maybe she's not really an introvert per se, she probably is an extrovert, but something must have influenced who she is or who she was at that point, and maybe tracing back to. But listen, that girl, that's dangerous, honestly.
Oh, okay. For I can say when I tried to trace it back, I actually saw like the whole last year that I spent saying it's hard to make friends in Poland. The only way that I can actually try to find myself around and actually be sure of the company that I have around is by being alone. Is by making my own, being my own friend, and not try to escape myself by going to gatherings and whatnot. So while I was doing that, I got so self-aware to the extent that whenever I'm with other people, I'm like, no, this person brings bad energy, or no, this person is not talking any sense, because I know, like, I don't know if I'm making sense, because
yeah. You are making sense. You are making
I
sense.
yeah, so
Uh,
that's why I even said, I think like, even if you're not trying to escape, like not going out, not trying to escape, like not, even if you're still doing what you're doing, but when you try to say, okay, let me get to know myself better, let me do this, it gets so addictive. I don't know if I'm making sense. It gets
yeah,
so
yeah. You
addictive
are.
to the extent that
You
you're
are.
like, "Mm-mm."
Yeah. Listen, that's so interesting, and actually, Tina, thank you for that, because now I've been able to structure your homework for you. So listen, um, kindly, first of all, I believe you are, and correct me if I'm wrong, you are are you a black and white person? Like you, it's either black or white, right?
No, I think I'm more of an in between person. Like,
Okay, okay, fine. I
yeah,
could be wrong. Okay, so
yeah.
the problem is, for many people, especially you mentioned social anxiety, they try to go from 0 to 100 and from 100 back to 0. So, how are you going to take baby steps? For example, with someone who is addicted to smoking, if I smoke 3 packs of cigarettes a day for a year and I want to stop smoking, I'm not supposed to go cold turkey. I'm going to do something called tapering. I taper the dose. So you saying, I think, so how are you going to go from not even entertaining small talk on WhatsApp to being able to handle a social gathering of not even many people, maybe 5 people? So that's going to be, wow, what steps do you think you should take? And then everyone can chime in eventually after Tina and Nas Julia talk. All right, Tina, the stage is yours.
I really don't know what I'm okay. So I think I got carried away with Lissa's the conversation. Okay, so we're talking about how we were able to tame ourselves even with like the situation surrounding us. Okay, so like personally for me, for like when it comes to family aspects, I like my situation is a little bit different because like I've never really been. I think someone also mentioned this here. I've never really been like with my family the whole time. So leaving Poland, leaving Nigeria to Poland, and it was not there wasn't really that much of a difference. So that one did not I did not really feel anything from that angle. Even at the time, I remember at the time when I'm going to make like a joke, but I remember at the time when there was this war at Ukraine, and I called my mom. I was like, she's like, don't come back. Wherever they are fighting the war, just go there and fight the war. Don't even come back. So that's how the situation is. It's not like the love is there, but we just understand that it's just for a while. You understand? So, and also another thing that has helped me is living Nigeria. I left with sort of like a drive. I kind of wanted something leaving Nigeria. So that drive has kept me going. So I just knew that I want to come here. I want to do this when I come here, and then I want to leave as soon as I'm done with this. So it just keeps me going. I just know at the back of my mind that okay, this phase is just for a while, and it's at the end of the day it's going to pass, and I'll be done, and I'll stuff like that. So that has kept me going. And another thing was coming to Poland. We came as a group of friends. We met like online, and we like had like similar interests. So we were about 10 of us going to the same city, going to the same school. So that was really, really helpful because I didn't even feel like anything was missing. I just changed location typically. So for me, I did not necessarily feel like anything was missing. We were like a family. We cooked together and stuff like that until everyone got, sort of busy, and then no one literally had time for each other anymore. And just like Grace had said, another thing that I really liked to do at that time when I did not have a lot of things keeping me busy like work and school was going window shopping. I wouldn't spend a dime because I'm very disciplined. So, but I just felt it was therapeutic for me just going to the store, seeing really nice stuff and stuff like that. And I also did meet someone special, and that, so I did not necessarily feel my situation was different. I did not
Look at
necessarily
Julia.
feel. So,
Julia's
yeah, I am
Yeah, I like
mentally.
the sound of that. Someone special. Tina, your case is different.
Oh.
Tina, I really like what you said. There's something that, of course, that really reached out to me, and that's the thing of, there are certain statements we hear over time in shows or in church, things like taking one day at a time, and that is, unless I've misunderstood, but that is what you have done. Yes, you had the tribe,
Absolutely.
around you, and by God's grace, you guys meshed, and you also knew when things get busy, it's not always going to be the way it was, because sometimes people hold on when it's time to, let go a little bit, and it made space for the special someone in your life. So, with you, how do you, because as you know, we've all lived in Europe at least more than a year now, and Europe can be tough, because when it rains it pours, it will be rent time, and let's say it's winter and the bills have gone times two. There's a time I had to pay 700 zloty for bills, and I did not understand how. And then maybe just something is happening. Like there will be things that are happening, something is not going right in school, and then you're feeling anxiety about maybe a relative back home, And so, how are you able, as an African child or person in Lublin, Poland, to take one day at a time in spite of all these overwhelming, let's say, stimuli, things that will stimulate your brain to overthink? How do you do that?
Well, I think because I feel like everything that I went through in Nigeria kind of prepared me for everything that I was kind of going to meet here. So for me it was like whatever life keeps throwing at me, I always just believe that at the end of the day, because in the past I've had to overthink, think about how to figure it out, how to deal with this issue. And then eventually it would pass, right? They always pass. Like whatever it is that happens, they always pass. No matter how
Yeah.
bad it was at that point in time, they would always pass. So then I keep asking myself when things come, when life throws another thing at me, I'm like, but this would eventually pass. Tomorrow I would,
Yeah.
talk about it and tell stories about it. So that mindset helped me when I remember that eventually it would pass, it would always pass. So it kind of helps me stay calm even in like really crazy situation, especially just like you mentioned. I do resonate with the problems at home coming at you when you are still trying to figure it out here, but then I still
Mm-hmm.
always tell myself this would pass, right? So just like Brooke said, let go and let God. So I try to do my best. I try as much as everything humanly possible on my part, and then I let go. But eventually, it always passes.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really that's so much, you know. And hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
You
We
can hear
can.
me. All right.
Yeah.
That's well put. Now we can go
Your
to.
voice sound like you're a bit far. Your voice sound like you're a bit far.
Hello.
Your voice sound like you're far.
I
Maybe
wonder,
something is covering your mic or microphone or something.
man. Can I call you back? Hold on. Let me call you back, bro. Hold on. I'm still in the call. Let me call you back. Huh? Hello.
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 Can you hear me?
Yes.
I don't know what's going on. Okay. Can you hear me now
Yes.
Yes.
properly?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
So as I was asking, Tina, what advice? Because I also went through a few things back in Uganda, because I was in school, in medical school, and at some point things didn't work. but I had to learn through a trial by fire. You know, trial by fire, whether you where you have no other choice but to make it to the next day. Now, as you said, there's something that you said, this too shall pass. That's something my sister likes telling me. But you know, in that statement, someone who is not so grounded can eventually use it to become complacent, and just ignore whatever is happening. How do you balance between being complacent and knowing that it too shall pass? That is your question for the second round of this. For now, let's go back to Nurse Julia. Nurse Julia?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes.
Okay, my own case wasn't really even though I wasn't really open to make much friends too. I'm not really I've never had a best friend in my life. I wouldn't say having best friend is not good, but I'm this kind of person that I am more free and more open with my family. So maybe probably because I have more sisters to brother, I have a brother and I have a sister, and my upbringing is in a way that we are so close to each other. We tell if I want to cry, like tell you like my whole secret, my sister, my sisters, they want to talk about their whole secret. We talk about ourselves, so we are so close. So I find myself like I like my sisters in my space more compared to letting an outsider like a friend into my space. So that was why I had this separation anxiety when I came to Poland. So I wouldn't say I really coped the problem, I really solved the problem like completely, but I would say at this point of my life, I'm trying to cope, trying to manage, because eventually I'm still going to leave my family because I'm a lady. Definitely, I'm going to get married. So we are all going to go separate ways. So I think coming to Poland has really, really like let me understand the reality I'm going to face in future. That yes, like I have sisters, they are married, but though we are still in communication, but I noticed there is this little gap that is a bit coming in between us. So that is really done on me that hey girl, very soon you're still gonna like deal with this separation, because yeah, you're still gonna have another family and your sisters are still going to be like behind you. So I'm trying to get used to it. Yeah, like coming to Poland has really taught me that, even though I'm still in communication with them and also my dad. So thank God, like what Grace said, thank God for WhatsApp. My dad always like calling me, and if he's calling me, he'll call me like video call, ask where are you, what are you doing? I'm not seeing you. And he will not on his camera, but he will want to see me. He will ask me, where are
Yeah.
you? What are you doing? And here in Poland, we have like this you're living in a shared apartment, and we have a male person in that is a 3-bedroom apartment. So I have a male in between. So whenever he talks, my dad will like, I'm hearing a male voice. Are you in a man's house? I'll be like, I'll be like, okay, that this is not like Nigeria where your apartment is to you. We are in a shared apartment. Say, why? Are you sharing apartment? How do you do? Oh, what about the bathroom? Oh, we have privacy. Oh, I'll be like, so as in, so there's some dramatic discussion with my daddy that kind of like make me feel like he's still very close to me. Like it gives me this balance of feeling like my family is still within me. So as for friends, I really don't have much. I really don't have problem because I don't really give that space. I don't really give friends so much space into my life. So I am this kind of person is if I have you as a friend, I try to understand you. So if there's something about you that I don't like, I try to manage
Mm-hmm.
it. I try to manage it. And I don't like
Aha!
being I don't
You
like
try
being
to
in a
manage it.
yes,
Hmm.
I try to manage no matter how my friend is, even if she's the lousy type, even if she's the crazy type, as long as there's an impact, even if you're not impacting anything into my life, at
Mm-hmm.
some point we all need friends, you know.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
But I try to like cope. I don't like see myself in a situation where I'm having problem with people, even though you cannot completely do away with having problems with people. There are some people that no matter how good you are, definitely you
Exactly.
may have
Mm-hmm.
problem with them. But I would say maybe because I'm this kind of person, I don't know how to fight. Because the last time I fought was when I should be like maybe like 10. I was 10 years old. As in, they beat the hell out of me that day. That was when my daddy told me, girl, fighting is not your thing. So I run away from fight. I run away from exchanging words with someone like
Oh,
quarreling, bashing. So I'm always careful with people. So
let's talk
most
about
people
that.
tell me that I'm always scared. Why am I always scared? I say I'm not scared.
Uh,
I'm avoiding problems.
okay, let's talk about that.
Exactly. Exactly.
Listen, you go ahead. Listen, go ahead.
No, I can totally understand what Julia is saying, because
Mm.
and I trust me, I know it's wrong. It's a wrong way of approaching meeting new people. It's a wrong way of because like literally what you said, you can't we can't totally rely on our family. And trust me, over the past year I've been close to my every person in my family, like very close to them. Any one of them who has a problem knows if I call Lisa 24/7, she's there, because I'm far, and anytime they need to talk to me, I'm available. And we have actually been more close. But I know the fact that like I cannot like totally rely on them. It's like I need friends. I need to have other people besides my family that I can actually be friends with. But like what Julia is saying, it's very hard because I can't just let someone else from out there just come in my zone and disturb my energy or my peace just like that. But also at the
Okay,
same time,
okay.
I
Uh-huh,
understand
uh-huh.
we're supposed to do it and we need to put in the work to actually like allow people to get in our lives, because it's a
Yeah,
problem to not do that.
yeah. Julia. So thank you, Listen. That was very well put. Julia. So it comes to like, I think one of you said, was it Grace or Brooke? You talked about, oh, Tina, I think. You talked about everything usually maps to one specific incident. Now, the T word, trauma, it's a sort of dirty word that people fear, but trauma shows itself in very many different ways. And many of the ways that we respond to things now is based on these little microscopic traumas that we went through. There's a book that I was reading. I tried to start a book club in Louvre, but it didn't work out. Maybe we can start a book club with you guys. But it talks about the theory of trauma or normalization of trauma. We have that, especially coming from Africa. Especially, let me say, as an African man, you know, you're not allowed to really show certain things, show certain feelings. And repressed feelings in a man and a woman, they they cause a slowdown in emotional growth. Now, from what I can tell with Julia, she's a well balanced lady. She's been able to, get through life, and she has her own podcast. She's putting herself out there, you know. But you said something about being non-confrontational, right? That's how I interpreted it. However, in life, there are times when you need to be confrontational. And confrontational not out of anger, but confrontational out of principle, where you think and say, this person has just done something that is against my principles. How am I going to, for example, if I'm out with my wife here in Lublin and someone says a nasty remark to her. Now, I can't fight, it's the easier way, but it's a low hanging fruit. I will not. But it's going to make me feel a certain kind of way. But how do I, as an African man in an Eastern European country, react to that situation? How do I react to that situation? Now, if, for example, I had a situation that caused me to fear confrontation, most of you would think that I would run away from the fight. No, it can go one of two ways. I will either run away from the fight or I will get extra. I will get extra in the fight and I will not even realize that is this me really? You know? So, Julia, throughout life, now this is your homework. Throughout life, I'm sure you've gotten into situations where your principles, someone has you really questioned them and has kind of insulted them. How have you balanced that out and how have you been able to maintain homeostasis or balance as you deal with such people? As we go to Grace to answer her first her question, please think about that, Julia. Grace, where is Grace? She's not around. Okay, we'll go to Brooke. Brooke, remember your question?
About anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I do remember it. And not to say it verbatim, but you did say
Mm-hmm.
that how am I able to cope with anxiety, just in a nutshell, right?
In a nutshell,
Okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like I mentioned, the fact I'm not trying to preach to you guys, neither am I trying to say I'm perfect or I'm rounded in the word
It's
of
okay.
God. Um, I just want you to understand like how God has been working in my life. So about anxiety, like I said, for me the journey is still an ongoing. It's an ongoing process. I'm not yet there, but I can definitely share to you and say that the more I wanted or want to be in control of something, the more I feel and believe that I'm setting myself up for failure. Because let's say, for example, I I want to go to a shop to buy something, let's say a pair of shoes that I saw. And then if I go to that shop expecting that I'm going to get that very same pair of shoes, I will be disappointed. But the fact that I have grounded myself in God, I'm like, God, if I go to this shop, I just want to find any pair of shoes that I will like and make me grateful for for that pair of shoes,
Oh,
whether
yes.
it's pink, whether it's blue, whether it's gray. But if I go expecting to buy that very same pink pair of shoes, I will be disappointed when I go to that shop and I don't see those pair of shoes.
So
So
hope versus expectation.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that I just let sorry, I let God lead,
Mm,
it's helping me accept in any situation and deal with it according to him. Because
mm,
like I said, when I lead, when I take charge of my own life, I'm setting myself up for failure and for disappointment.
mm,
So for
mm,
me,
mm,
it's
mm.
something that I'm still learning. It's
Yeah.
something I'm still trying to incorporate to become a part of my life, because I'm not saying that I'm fully rounded in that aspect. It's
Mm,
something that I'm adjusting to. So that's how
yes.
I've been learning to cope with anxiety. So
Yes.
let me
Yes.
just say overall, it's letting go of expectations, because it even comes to people. Mm, I'm just going to try to summarize this, but if there's one thing that's helping me cope with my relationships with people, it's learning a person's love language. So
Yes.
I have spent a significant amount of time with certain people to be able to understand and appreciate their love language. So when I know that, okay, Julia's love language is gifts, I will
Mhm.
understand that when I go to her, I have to go with a small thing, and collaborating that with expectations. If Julia also knows my love language, she will understand that, okay, just because her love language is gifts, that doesn't mean it's my love language. So we're able to have a complementary and healthy relationship when we understand each other's love languages, in the sense that just because you have this certain love language, that doesn't apply to the next person.
Yeah.
Also, just to add on to what Lissel was saying, you do get comfortable, also to touch on what she said, you do get comfortable being alone. Like,
Mm.
I've spent so much time on my own to a point where I'm now enjoying my own company, but then I'm trying to give myself that solution in healthy doses, because
Yes.
too much of anything can make you sick.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
trying to
Yes.
give that solution in healthy doses, in the sense that I enjoy my own company, but at the same time, I should value company with those people close to me.
Yes.
So you may ask, how am I able to like establish that balance?
Mhm.
Well, I've kind of like put a timer in my mind where I can give myself to people, I can give time to people. And then when I'm now feeling, or when I'm now getting to a point where it's exhausting, or when I now feel like I've come to a point where I've given enough,
Yeah.
I can exit from that situation in a healthy way, not to just walk off and leave.
Yeah.
I can
Yes.
just tell
Yeah.
people that, okay, excuse me, I need to go, I need to leave, and then I find time to myself. But
Yes.
I
Yes.
do have to say that if you do not observe that that time, or if you don't observe how you are giving yourself to people, you can end up doing too much or too less. So it's always
Yeah.
important to establish a balance where you enjoy your own company, but at the same time you understand that it's important to be with people.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
Yes. And
Sorry.
that's thank you for that. Okay. Tina. Yes.
Yeah, I was going to say something because, but I think you kind of touched that because when you said, what you have figured out is like what something that's helped you is figuring out people's love language, and that's like figure like trying to figure out people, and then I wanted to ask, isn't that mentally draining? Because I feel like it takes, in as much as we want to be like there for people, we also have to remember ourselves as well,
Yeah.
our mental health as well. So for me personally, I don't know, I think trying to figure out people, humans are really complex, right? So I think trying to figure out people would take a toll on me mentally. I don't know, like, how do you deal with that?
All right.
okay. Oh,
Sorry. Before you answer,
mhm.
um, Tina,
I,
there's something
I
I
also
wanted to say, but
I also have a
yes.
question for her. She
Okay.
said something. She talked about something like she's just like you talked about something like you gave an example like if I go to a store and I'm expecting to buy a red shoe and I now you're kind of like God, I'm just going to go to a store and any shoe that I get, I'm just going to be like grateful and something like that. That's what you said, right? Now I
Mhm.
wanted to ask like um I understand what you're saying, and I understand your point, like where you're coming from. But sometimes we can't have goals, like standards. I don't know if you get what I mean. Like sometimes you have like a certain you have a certain standard that you want to meet, and sometimes you have
Well,
like other standards that you want to meet.
does
So
anyone hear
sometimes
her?
No.
Mm. All right. As she's getting back, sorry. Before, please remember your answer. I wanted to go back to that whole hope versus expectation. I'll make it quick. Humans are complicated, right? And I always tell people that expectations, and I'm sure Grace can relate to this. The little mathematics that I know, expectations are mathematical. You can only put them in either algorithms or equations, but humans are too complicated for that. We are not ones and zeros, So when I understood that, I was like, okay, what I can do is hope that someone will be okay, because when you hope, you're not as disappointed as when you expect. And if you realize expecting in itself is a bit egotistical, especially when it comes to people.
True.
You're like, you are this person, so I expect you to do this. No, who am I? I'm not God.
Mm-hmm.
I hope, I hope that you will do this and this and this based on the communication that I gave you. So please finish yours, Brooke, and then we go to Madame Grace.
Okay, I'm trying to remember the question that Tina asked. That
I can help
okay.
you.
Oh no, sorry, it was
Yeah.
Lissel. It was Lissel who said
Oh,
natural
okay.
goals.
Okay.
Okay, here's the thing. For me personally, what has worked is having a lot of seeds that I plant. So
Oh,
when I
nice.
plant 10 seeds, right? If
Hmm.
one seed fails me, I know that I can look onto another seed to produce harvest, right? So the example that I gave about the shop, it was just for you to have a gist of where I'm going with the whole expecting thing. Because,
Hmm.
like you said, human beings are complicated, and
Yeah.
it's not that easy for you to just understand someone as simple as ABC. No. But what I was just trying to put was the more you have set out for yourself, the less disappointed you'll be if one thing doesn't work out. So the shop example, I was just basically trying to say, if you keep your mind open, because let's say that shop has a reputation of selling nice shoes, you know that if you're not going to get, if you just have the hope that you get another nice pair of shoes, you won't be as disappointed when that red pair of shoes is not available. You have other options. That's why I think it's even common amongst us as ladies, like when we're going out, we always have option of outfit number one, outfit number two, outfit number three, and so forth. So it's just the same with life. If you know that, okay, if I don't get the proper qualifications to be a nurse, I can always go and be a dentist. If it doesn't work out to be a dentist, I can always be a dermatologist or anything
Hmm.
along those lines. So it's
Hmm.
always important to plant several seeds so that if one seed fails, the other one, you always have plenty more to look forward to. And then going on to what Tina said about human beings being complicated and it being draining, I did psychology, so I don't know. I'm not trying to get into too much about knowing human beings, but I want to give another example of a rubber band. A rubber band has an extent to which it stretches, right?
Elastic limit. Yeah.
Yeah. So the elasticity of the rubber band will reach a point where it cannot stretch anymore. Same applies to human beings. Human beings have an extent, or they have a certain time frame to which they can pretend, and then they start showing you who they are. So by this example, I'm trying to say that the more time you spend with a person, the more you will know how to figure them out, the more how you know how to maneuver around them. So let's say I've spent a consecutive amount of time with Julia, I will know that her love language is quality time, because every time we spend together, she values it and she doesn't take calls, she doesn't she doesn't entertain anything else when I'm with her. So the person Julia doesn't have to tell me that, oh, my love language is quality time. Her disposition, her behavior around me will in itself expose what her love language is. So it's very important that people learn on how to pick up the nonverbal cues, because people think, oh, I have to tell a person that my love language is getting gifts or service or touch or quality time. No, the more time you spend with that person, you'll be able to pick up on those small things. It's like they're called what's called Easter eggs. You'll be
Yeah.
able to pick up on them that, okay, Julia loves gifts because she always has like gift bags in her room. Tina loves she loves quality time because every time I'm with her, she doesn't take calls, she doesn't entertain anything else. Lissel, every time I'm with her, she loves cooking for me. She loves making sure that my environment and my surroundings are clean. So that in itself is able to tell you about a person, those non-verbal cues, those small gestures, whether they're small, whether they're big, they are telltales about a person, and you're able to make a conclusion about that and understand who they are and what makes them up as a person. So if you look at that, you'll see that it's not really difficult to understand a person. But I think what makes it difficult is because we have expectations about, okay, this person is saying A, B, C, and D, so it should match with what they're going to do.
Oh
I
yeah.
think it's really important that we also understand that what a person does overrides what they say. So a person
Hmm.
may say, I love purple, but most of the times you see them wearing pink. That in itself should tell you. So I think and believe that those are one of the things that can help you understand a person and make things less complicated with your interpersonal relationships with someone or people.
Thank you. Thank you. Grace. Hi.
Hi.
Please.
Okay. For the priorities aspect, I believe that as time goes on, you discover things that are of more importance to you than some other things. Like you start to place yourself like this is more important. I need to do this. This is more important. You see, I think Europe has a system generally that that even if you don't want to do some certain things, the system will correct you, even if you are not used to doing some certain things. Like for example, um,
Grace, I'm sorry, your mic seems to be muffled. I can't hear you.
hello,
Yeah. Yeah.
can you
Can't
hear
hear
me
you.
now?
Yeah. Now we can hear
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
Yeah. So I said Europe
Better
has
now.
yeah, Europe has a system based on my personal research. Europe has a system that there are some things that, yes, even if you are not doing it when you are coming from your home country, when you get to Europe, it will take you time to adjust. But then after that, you start, doing it. And one of the things, for example, the payment of bills, you cannot avoid not paying bills in Europe generally. You cannot avoid it. So, as a matter of fact, when checking your finances or when trying to put yourself at check, your mental health while you are trying to adjust, you still have to take cognizance of your spendings, your financial aspect. You still have to take it as something very important. Whether you like it or not, you will pay bills. That is something about Europe. You will pay
Yeah.
bills. Back then in Nigeria, you could always get somebody somewhere giving you money, maybe one uncle, one auntie, or something, helping you. But right here in Europe, everybody needs to fend for themselves. Somehow, you need to fend for yourself. So, and you have to find a means to actually check your finances. So, the system already is built in such a way that your first priority, as a matter of fact, will be to survive, which means to pay all the essential bills, your accommodation, your feeding, insurance, those basic things. So as time goes on, you 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 focus on those priorities first. Then you decide that, okay, on a long term, I think I'm echoing. Okay.
No, you're right.
Okay. So, I think sorry. Can you hear
No, you're
me?
okay. We can hear you. We can hear you.
Okay. Okay. So, I think I don't know. I keep hearing myself
Yeah,
whenever I
she's echoing. I can hear the
Yep.
echoes.
I think
How come?
everyone we should mute our mic. Yes.
okay. Yeah, I think it's better now. Okay, so I think basically those the system is built to just put us in check. As much as you want to do some certain things, you know there are some certain things you need to take care of, and as time goes on, you try to ensure that you are secured, like you have financial security for yourself to be able to take care of yourself and also maybe other immediate members of the family. So when you think about these things, it gives you a drive. One of the things that will give you a drive for whatever you want to do here in Europe. Like, it's going to help you decide, okay, are you taking this job? Are you moving from one job to another? Are you doing this are you adding more skills? What are my long-term goals? Because the truth is, as much as we all want to um where we are currently, at one point in our life there will be a need to expand, there will be a need to grow. It is so, for that need to expand, the priorities will be, those things that will enable us to grow in wherever we are going to, whatsoever field or aspirations or goals we've put down for ourselves. And the truth is, even if there is someone that does not have that drive from wherever he or she is coming from, the moment you get to this Europe and you see the way the system is being structured, there will be some little changes that would happen to that person. So I think that's just all about from my hand. I don't know if there is anything anybody has to say.
Okay, I think Aaron just left, but he will join back. Lisa, you say you have question for Bro. So
Yes,
Bro, please, so
yes.
please go ahead so that
Hopefully my network doesn't cut me off. It now wants to give me depression. But anyway, on Brooke, I wanted to ask Brooke. Now there's feedback.
okay, maybe
Okay.
okay, yes, yes.
Okay. I wanted to ask Brooke. She said something interesting. She said, um, how she avoid anxiety, or like, I don't know, did she say anxiety, but something like that. She goes to a shop. When she goes to shop, she's just like, okay, if I get like a red shoe or blue or pink shoe, I'll just have to thank God for it, as long as something like that. That's what she said. So my question to her is, like, I understand we all have goals, we all have like certain goals or certain standards in life, that we can't nearly accept everything, even if, I don't know, I can't say even if it's coming from God, but I think you know what I mean. Like, everyone has, you have what you want, you've got a specific thing that you want, be it a job, be it anything, you have standard, you have got like money that you want to be paid, like you've got a standard. And we believe like, you ask and it shall be given to you by God with faith. So with what Brooks said, kind of made me think maybe that's a coping mechanism. Like, you're trying to escape the feeling of like not getting what you want, the like the stress or the mental ills that comes with not getting what you want. So now you're kind of like, it's more like a coping mechanism to say, okay, even if I get that, it's also fine. I'm going to thank God. But like, is that okay? Or is it, do you get, I don't know if you guys get my question, because it kind of like gave me a feeling that you're just trying to cope with not getting what you want sometimes. I don't know.
Okay. It's because you had left, but I'd answered this question. So, I said that I understand that we have to have goals and standards that we set, but I was saying this in reference to understanding that sometimes things will not go as you planned. So I said the shop example was for you to have a gist of where I'm going. But I said, in order to avoid or getting disappointed and to cope with anxiety, you have to have several seeds that you plant. So by having several seeds that you plant, you know that in the event that one seed fails to give me harvest, I have several others that can give me harvest. So going back to the shop example that I gave, I then said, they say the shop has a reputation of selling very nice shoes. You know that in the event that you don't get that specific shoe that you want, you have other options that you can take. So let's say I wanted a red pair of shoes that was 6 inches long. If I have several other options that I set for myself, I know that, okay, I'm not getting the red pair of shoes, I can get the glittery ones, right? So that helps you cope with that disappointment because you go to that shop. If you go to that shop specifically wanting that red pair of shoes, rightfully speaking, it's not yours until you buy it. So you have to understand that you can go to that shop and find that pair of shoes not there anymore, right? So by having other options, you are setting yourself up for preparation for disappointment. That, okay, I go to that shop, and if I don't see that specific pair of shoes, I can opt for another pair of shoes. So that's what I was saying, that it's also part and parcel of setting goals and standards for yourself. Because if your mind is just set on getting that red pair of shoes, you have to be prepared that you won't find it there. Same applies to even in our interpersonal relationships when it comes to pursuing someone romantically. You have to understand that romance is not always mutual. So let's say you have a guy that you like. You have to be prepared that that guy won't like you. So are you telling me you're going to be set on that guy even when he doesn't like you? You have to understand that when he doesn't like you, you have to open yourself up to other options, to other guys who are available for you and you are available for them. So that's just the foundation that I wanted to set, that you have to be ready that that thing that you are set on may not work for you. Also, having a foundation in God, it also allows God to bring you something better, because you are set on getting that guy, you are set on getting that job, but maybe that job is not meant for you. You have to understand that mutuality is very important in every aspect of our lives, whether it's in social settings, whether it's in your spiritual settings, whether it's in any aspect, any sphere of life. Mutuality is very important in the sense that you have to understand that what you want may not be meant for you, as much as it's part of your goal, but it may not be meant for you. So that's how best I can answer you.
But
Okay,
there were
thank
so
you.
many things. I'm so sorry. There are so many things that kept coming to my mind when you. I do understand that this mechanism helps a lot when it comes to disappointment, and it's usually like very very important to have it at the back of your mind that it may not always work as we want to, and sometimes a lot of times that's okay. But then where does faith come in this place? Like faith, having faith, like wanting something and then having faith that okay, that is going to work. Where does it come? Because it kind of like contradicts. If it's confusing to me.
Well, okay, I'm gonna try to answer this as best as I can, but faith is understanding that God has something better for you, even when what you want doesn't work out. So, like I said, when you want something, let me give an example that I think all of us can relate to. I think I'm assuming that all of us have been in a position where we liked someone, but they didn't like us back, right? So I may want that person, I may badly want them, but faith is understanding and appreciating that God has something better for you. It's walking with the anticipation that God is going to present something better to me, right? Because I don't think it's contradicting yourself by understanding that there could be something better out there. Because that very same thing that you're craving for, that very same thing that you want, you were in that space prior to coming into contact with that thing. So having faith is understanding that as you're moving forward, there's something better that can come into your life. That is my understanding of faith.
Okay, I can kind of relate to what Brooke said. Sometimes there are some things that if I want something so bad, I am good at scripting. I wouldn't say law of attraction, this and that. I have been scripting right from when I was very way young. I didn't know what I was doing back then. Sometimes if I need something, I just write it. Whenever I'm praying, I just look at what I wrote. I say, God, this is what I want, please. A lot of times, 60% it has worked for me. And there's something my parents taught us when we were growing up is this gratitude. When there's this ritual we usually do then when I was growing up before we eat, because I was born in a Catholic home, so we everything Catholic, everything like we are staunch Catholic. So we have this picture of Joseph, Mary, Jesus. I know most people don't believe in it, but I do. So before we eat, we kind of like thank you, Jesus, for this food. Some have food they cannot eat. Some can eat, they don't have food. But we have food, but we can eat. Glory be to God. So immediately we must do that before we eat. Then after eating, we'll just go to the pictures and say, Jesus, thank you, Mary, thank you, Joseph, thank you for this food and everything. So I can relate to what she said. I am always this kind of person. If I need something right from when I was childhood, I know nothing about script. I know nothing about law of attraction, but I'm good at when I need something, I write it. I write and I keep. Then when I'm praying, I go back to it. And I go to if it's something like I want to buy something, or maybe like graduation, or maybe a kind of lifestyle that I want, I look at it, I'll say, God, this is what I want, please. Most of the times, God actually, I would I'm not really trying to be like I'm not preaching, like I just don't want to start preaching to everyone, but this is just my life, this is the way I do my things. And most times when I find out that if I finally get what I want, I kind of like thank God for it, or show gratitude that I am grateful for this. And sometimes it just don't really work out. I just feel like, okay, if it's not working out, maybe probably that is not for me. So that's just it.
Okay. Well, this wow. I think we can both agree that this has been amazing, right? We can all agree that this has been it actually went longer than I thought it would. And not everyone has been able to give their 2 cents. But I want to ask: is it possible? I think we should make this a little bit more regular. What do you think, Nas Julia? What do you think? You're muted. You're muted. You're muted, Nas Julia.
Okay, yeah, it's okay if we can probably maybe every 2 weeks or twice in a week, twice in a month.
I think so. I think so too. Guys, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree. I feel like this needs to be had quite no, I wouldn't say frequently, but I don't know. I'm thinking maybe once a week, if possible.
Okay. Well, Julia talks about twice a month. You said once a week. We can come to a middle ground. Tina, Lissel, and Grace, what do you think?
Um. Oh well, I think this particular section is long, about 2 hours long. So if you can have a short section, say maybe 40 minutes section, I think it will still be possible, like maybe 2 times in a month, just like what Nurse Julia said. If we can have a shorter section, like 40 minutes or at most 1 hour section, yeah, it is still something doable in a month, twice a month, or at most 3 times in a month. Yeah.
Okay, I like this. I like this. Tina?
Yeah, I mean, personally, for me, anything works.
Okay, I'm glad. I'm glad. Flexibility. I think Lissel?
Yeah, I'm for the idea, and actually like hearing other people's idea, because you get like to see like a different, way to doing things than you were actually doing them. And also I think if we're to do that this, we can actually like discuss on other topics to discuss maybe every month or twice a month, like what Julia said.
Yes, and as I mentioned before, I had tried to start a book club. Unfortunately, it did not really catch fire. But what I can do is I don't know, maybe Julia, try to, if you can make something happen where I can throw it to be on mental health. I can throw a book and even give it to you guys, download it for you. We read it, we talk about it, and we see what it meant to all of us, so that we can have fresh ideas from uh, authors on issues that can relate to all of us right now, and we just go back and forth about them. And I think we can really make this a thing.
Okay, that is a good idea. Yeah, yeah, the book, is it going to be a link to a book, to your book, right? I can drop it in the comment section of this video so that there are people that watch it, they may want to like read the book,
Okay,
they can read
yeah,
the book.
definitely. I will send you. I will because I can send you the book itself on WhatsApp, and then you can send the link to. I don't know how you do it. I don't know how you do
I'll
it,
send
but
it to Grace, I'll send it to everyone. I'll also drop in the comment section so that those that want to still have access
okay,
to it.
okay, great, great. I think we should do that.
Okay.
What does everyone else
Okay.
think?
So we are wrapping up now, right?
Mm.
Okay, maybe you will mute yourself while I do the wrap up. Okay, and thank you guys for attending this section. So this is more like a refreshing to me. Thank you, Grace, for your time. I really, really appreciate it. I wasn't expecting it this long. I initially I said 40 minutes or maximum 50 minutes, but now here we are. And thank you, Broccoli. Thank you so much. You went to church and you were like running. I was like, oh, please take your time so you don't hurt yourself, and still you were able to make it on time. I really, really appreciate your time. Thank you so much, Lisa, for coming. Even if you don't show us your beautiful face, would have loved to see your face. But all the same, and thank you so much for your contribution. And Tina, thank you so much. You told me you're making your hair and still you still have time to join us in this session. I really appreciate your contribution also. Thank you to my co-host, Mr. Aaron. He's the brain box of this section. Mr. Aaron is the brain box. Yes, so Mr. Aaron have a lot that he's doing. He has a whole lot. So in case you want to have a chit chat with Mr. Aaron, so let me know. I'm still going to connect you with it. Mr. Aaron also have a YouTube channel, though he's not really doing much there. He wants to like he has a whole lot of plan ahead of him, so he wants to like create the awareness through my channel. Then before he starts moving on to his channel to do other things that he really wants to do, but all the same, this section is basically for Africans in Poland, more like creating awareness to let us know that if you're going through any mental stress, anxiety, just know you are not alone. There are a whole bunch of us out there. We all have our various problems, our anxiety, different levels, different stages of anxiety. So just know you're not alone. So try to manage, try to cope, and I believe hopefully this phase will pass, just as Tina said. This phase will always come and go. So there's nothing too much, nothing to worry too much. So yeah, thank you so much. And yeah, do you guys have any final words to say, Mr. Aaron?
I am I'm so grateful for all this, and to be honest, what I've learned from here is a few words: gratitude, empathy, you know, and approach people with more hope than expectation. And we are always going to be here, and I feel like this has potential to be helpful. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Grace, any final word?
Thank you all for this wonderful conversation. I've learned a lot from it also, and I'm looking forward to the next conversation that we would have. Yeah.
Thank you. Broccoli, any final word?
It, I would just like to say thank you guys for your time. Thank you for all of your time, and it was really nice exchanging all these ideas and opinions. It would be nice if we continue having more of these.
Thank you so much. Lizo, any final word from you?
Thank you for having me, and it was nice to see you all, and hopefully we'll meet one day. That's all I can say. And I'm looking forward to other discussions that we're going to have. And also, you guys have a good night.
Thank you. Tina, any final word
Mm.
from you?
Thank you so much. It was so nice hearing from, like, hearing different perspectives to life from each and every one of you, and I really did learn a lot. I do appreciate this session. I would really love to, have something like this in the nearest future.
Okay, so guys, thank you so much. This brings us to the end of this video. And I'll also use the opportunity to say thank you to Mr. Aaron from is the brain box of all this. So thank you for bringing up this section, and yeah, looking forward to more collaboration with you. And guys, please check out Mr. Aaron's channel. Yeah, he has a lot there. So thank you guys. I really appreciate it. So bye. Have a good night. Rest.
Okay,
Bye.
bye. Bye.
Bye.